If you're a parent being tasked with raising young children today, I kind of feel bad for you. I also have a lot of respect for you. I consider myself to be lucky that I don't have kids. I was in a relationship married for 10 years, no kids. I have lived 37 years, managed to avoid having children. Me personally, I've never wanted kids. I never dreamed about having kids, mainly for selfish reasons. Never mind the fact that raising kids is expensive. I don't care about the money, I care about my time. I am extremely selfish with my time. Now, I've had many people tell me over the years, one day you are going to regret not having children. You know what? They may be right, but the way I see it, I would rather regret it one day than to have a kid that I don't want at 37 years old and risk being a terrible father. Another reason I don't want kids, I don't want to be worried all the time about what they're being exposed to. I am not a worrier. I rarely worry about anything. But when it comes to my dog or when it comes to defenseless kids, I will get worried. Sometimes I worry about my nephews and what they will be exposed to at school. Not from the other kids, but from the fucking school system. The sick woke agenda. They are attacking your children from all fronts. They want to teach them that it's okay to fuck the coffee table. They want to teach them that it's perfectly normal to change your gender. It's okay, young Rufus. You don't have to be a boy. If you prefer to be a non-binary oak tree, I will accommodate you by getting you some leaves and a dog to piss all over your leg. They're also teaching your kids about racism, and the leader of this movement is none other than the prince of propaganda, the warrior of the woke, the bastion of bullshit, the man who portrays himself as the ultimate victim, Colin Kaepernick. About a month or so ago, I told you guys there is a reason Colin Kaepernick keeps teasing an NFL comeback. He knows he doesn't have a chance of making an NFL roster. Hell, even the mainstream media admits he doesn't have a chance. Now, not all of them admit that. You have dumb fucks like Mina Kimes and Adam Schefter trying to convince you that Colin Kaepernick's good enough to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. This guy wasn't good enough in his 20s. What makes anyone think, with a 5-year absence at 34 years old, he is suddenly good enough to be a starting quarterback in this league? I told you guys, there's a reason Colin Kaepernick is doing this. At the time, I believe I said it was to promote the upcoming documentary Spike Lee and ESPN are producing about him. Us normal people call that propaganda. I still believe that's part of it, but there's also another reason. Colin Kaepernick has something else to promote, and it was released yesterday. Now the bullshit that took place at the Michigan spring game last weekend is starting to make sense. It put Kaepernick's name back in the headlines, right in time for the release of his new children's book. Yeah. Not only does he spend his spare time poisoning the virgins on Twitter with his bullshit, now the prince of propaganda wants the mind of your children. When you think of books aimed at kids, when you're at the bookstore looking for books for your kids, what plots are you expecting? Maybe you expect books that help with teaching them how to read. Perhaps you're looking for books that teach your kids to love their parents. Maybe you try to find books where the hero prevails, good conquers evil. Hell, I don't know. I don't have kids. I have no idea what kids' books are about these days. But let me ask you this. Are you looking for a children's book that teaches your 3 to 10-year-old child about racism? If you are, I have the perfect book for you. I Color Myself Different, written by the ultimate victim of racism, Colin Kaepernick. Oh, this is a great, captivating story about a young child who grows up to be a complete cancer to the culture. This dude uploaded a video message to Twitter yesterday. He was talking to his fellow virgins, thanking all 3 of them who bought this book. Obviously, he is marketing to the wrong audience. The majority of the useless bums on Twitter don't know how to fucking read. There was nothing of note said in this message from Captain Woke, but I want to play it to you for a couple of reasons. One, once you see this, you will understand why Colin Kaepernick never gives interviews. Talking on camera is a skill. It is not easy to sit here and talk to yourself and be informative and entertaining at the same time. It's not cut out for everybody, and as you will see, it damn sure ain't for Colin Kaepernick. He appears to be reading uncomfortably from a script. The entire message feels like it's forced, fake, inauthentic. It's cringe, to be honest with you. Second, I want you to pause the video about 45 seconds into it. Once again, I did the mainstream media's job for them and bust Colin Kaepernick in a lie. To promote the book, Colin Kaepernick granted a rare interview to Mike Freeman at USA Today. Now, as you guys know, Colin Kaepernick rarely gives interviews. Like I said, he doesn't possess the ability to speak on camera. He also knows the entire premise of his agenda is based on a myth. He knows he can't defend his position, so he rarely grants interviews. Now, those of you that have been following the channel for a while, you already know about Mike Freeman. He is the leader of the Star Trek chapter of Virgins on Twitter. He is the sports, race, and inequality editor at USA Today. Let me tell you what that means. Mike Freeman is paid by USA Today to be a professional race baiter, to stoke fake outrage and organize community circle jerks. He likes to dress up as Captain Kirk and give away free woke hugs to lonely men in America. If there is a definition of an easy interview, someone who would not risk exposing Colin Kaepernick for the fraud that he is, it's Mike Freeman interviewing him for USA Today. Now, even with that being the case, Colin Kaepernick refused a sit-down interview. He refused a phone interview. Instead, he had Mike Freeman email him a list of questions, and he had someone else type out his answers. Colin Kaepernick refused to answer questions about his return to the NFL. I wonder why. Even Mike Freeman thought that was strange. I wonder why Colin Kaepernick would not answer NFL-related questions. Probably because his NFL return is bullshit and he's just using it to promote this garbage book. Anyway, during their email interview, I can't believe that's even a thing, but during their email interview, Colin Kaepernick explains the concept of the book. He goes back to the same bullshit story we have heard him say 1,000 times. How he was in kindergarten and he was asked to draw his family. Oh, it was so traumatizing. I couldn't figure out the colors. At 5 years old, I already knew I was different. He says he picked up a yellow crayon to draw his parents. Then he exchanged that with a brown crayon to draw himself. Okay. All right, all well and good, but watch this video. He shows you the original drawing from his kindergarten class, supposedly the original drawing from his kindergarten class. Now you tell me, if you see any yellow in this picture, roll the film.
Hey everyone, today has been a long time coming. It is publication day for my first ever children's book, I Color Myself Different. It's a story about identity, adoption, and self-love. And I hope it inspires kids to courageously be their true and authentic selves. And I wanted to share with you some of my favorite parts about the book. The first being the artwork in the end pages is done by my nieces, Lonnie and Naisna. Phenomenal artists, bright futures. The second is, in the back of the book, we have the actual artwork, my drawing from when I was in kindergarten that this book's inspired by. As you can see, my nieces are much better artists than I am. But check the book out. It's available now everywhere books are sold. Tag us in your photos, and I hope you enjoy it.
Maybe I'm colorblind. Maybe I can't see color anymore. But am I the only one that did not see any yellow in that picture? That picture didn't look like a family to me. It looked like he drew a bunch of dicks. Perhaps he was projecting into his future. I took the time to read as much as I could on the page that he showed. I mean, this is a children's book. I wanted to see what he was teaching children. Colin Kaepernick claims kids as young as 3 years old develop and experience racial bias. I didn't think kids saw color, especially at 3 years old. I didn't think kids saw color. Adults do. Just like kids don't think about sexuality. Adults do. Mike Freeman, this fucking suck-ass. Even though Colin Kaepernick refused to answer the majority of his questions, Mike Freeman said his answers were smart. They all make sense. Typical Kaepernick. We're calling Kaepernick smart? Smart? I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense. He was smart enough to convince dumbasses across the country after making millions of dollars in the NFL that he was a victim of racism. Mike Freeman then begins to make excuses as to why Colin Kaepernick's not in the NFL today. It's all the typical bullshit, all the excuses that we have disproven countless times here on the channel. But I'll go ahead and do it again. There are 2 reasons Colin Kaepernick's not playing in the NFL. One, he's simply not good enough. NFL teams don't want distractions, but if you're talented enough, especially at the quarterback position, they will take the risk. Just look at Deshaun Watson. Right now, he is the ultimate distraction. He's playing, but you know what he can do? He can win football games. Colin Kaepernick has a career record of 28-30. He was 3-16 his last 2 years in the league. Now you couple that with the distractions, NFL teams ain't touching him. But that's irrelevant. That's irrelevant. Because Colin Kaepernick doesn't want to play football. He's making millions of dollars off the field promoting propaganda and lies. This dude has the easiest job in America. He never gives interviews. He never has to defend his position. The media constantly cover for him, promote him like he's some kind of fucking hero. All Colin Kaepernick has to do is formulate new lies and sit back and collect a paycheck. He didn't want to play in the NFL. Why would he want to play in the NFL? Hell, just 6 months ago, he claimed the league was a form of modern-day slavery. Why would he voluntarily enslave himself? Anytime he needs attention or has something new to promote, Colin Kaepernick teases a return to the NFL. And every single time, the media falls for the bullshit. If someone gives your child a copy of this garbage, I encourage you to burn it. Do not allow Colin Kaepernick to poison the mind of your kid. But let me know what you think. Colin Kaepernick, coming for the minds of your children. Sound off in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, KC_BTL84 on Twitter. I'll see you guys tomorrow.